chilling breath of the graveyard hung heavy in the night air. A dense, cloying mist curling between ancient headstones like forgotten memories, trying to claw their way back into the world. My flashlight, barely a match for the oppressive darkness, flickered as it swept across the twisted oak trees. Their gnarled branches stretched skyward like skeletal fingers clawing at an invisible heaven. This was my ritual. A midnight walk through the old Willow Creek Cemetery, self-imposed, unchanging. Where others sought light to calm their minds, I found comfort in the silence of the dead. The shadows didn't frighten me, they embraced me. No, I'm not an emo, I told myself dryly. But tonight felt different. The usual hush of the cemetery was broken by something sharper. The silence was no longer restful. It was suffocating. The faint gravel path, with its patchwork of uneven flagstones, stretched ahead like a ribbon into the abyss. I knew every inch of this place, or thought I did. And yet tonight, it felt alien, hostile. A low moan echoed from deep within the trees, raw and primal. My heart lurched, quickening with the sudden irrational panic that someone or something was near. I walked faster. The leaves beneath my boots crackled like brittle bones. Each step amplified the sense of being watched. Then, as I rounded a thicket of old pine, I stopped dead in my tracks. Dozens of headstones, once firm and upright, lay in complete disarray. Some were shattered, others toppled, as though swept aside by an enormous hand. This wasn't vandalism. No drunk teenagers or rowdy visitors could do this. It felt ancient, intentional, sinister. The air was thick with dread, so heavy I could taste it. Iron-rich, metallic, like blood in the back of my throat. A flicker of movement in the corner of my eye made me whirl around, flashlight raised. Nothing. Just the trees, stoic and silent. And yet, I felt it. The gaze of something unseen, hungry and patient. This place was no longer a graveyard. It was a hunting ground. Morning came, but the dread remained. I returned to the cemetery with the sunrise, hoping to make sense of what I had seen. But the scene before me shattered my certainty. It was perfect. Sunlight bathed the grounds in golden warmth. The ancient oaks, once menacing, now shimmered with Spanish moss. Birds chirped cheerfully. The headstones stood tall and untouched, grass neatly trimmed, every path pristine. There was no sign of destruction, no toppled graves, no shattered stones. Had I imagined it all? I walked the familiar paths again. Everything was exactly as it should be. Peaceful, serene, too serene. My mind scrambled for explanations. Sleep deprivation, hallucination, a nightmare, vivid and cruel. But deep down, something told me. The night was real. The graveyard had changed. It had shown me something. That evening, it changed again. The sun dipped below the trees, and the sky was painted in deep indigo and fading orange. But the graveyard that emerged in the twilight was not the one I had known. Gone were the familiar weathered gravestones. In their place stood rows of gleaming white marble, polished and perfect. The flagstone path had become smooth and precise, like something from a digital rendering. Hedgerows bordered the path, trimmed to perfection, symmetrical and sterile. Even the air felt wrong. It was still, unnaturally so. No breeze, no rustling leaves, not even a bird's cry. Only the sound of my boots crunching on brittle leaves that looked out of season, dead, brown, and papery like autumn long gone. The deeper I walked, the more unreal it became. The stars above me, familiar and grounding, began to blur. I looked up and gasped. The sky was gone. In its place stretched a boundless field of vibrant green grass, hanging impossibly above me. Below my feet, the world looked the same. Cemetery, path, stone. But above, the heavens had been replaced by an inverted field, dotted with fluffy clouds floating upside down. No sun, no moon, just that endless field, and at its center, hovering like a god's eye, was a massive metallic disc, silent and still. Its underbelly pulsed with a soft, unnatural blue light. The longer I stared, the more it seemed to breathe, rhythmically, like it was alive. A beam of pure white light descended from its core, illuminating the skygrass below. My entire body froze. This wasn't the graveyard anymore. This wasn't Earth. Panic surged through me. I stumbled backward, but the landscape remained fixed, an infinite contradiction. My breaths came in short, ragged gasps. Then, like a hammer on glass, a voice shattered the silence. It spoke not aloud, but inside my mind. Subject 7 has reached critical distress. Termination protocol initiated. My limbs locked, my voice gone. The white light widened, engulfing everything. Pain, searing, consuming, ripped through me as my body began to disintegrate. Atom by atom, piece by piece, I was torn apart. I tried to scream, tried to run. But I was nothing now. My final thought wasn't fear. It was grief for the cemetery, for the quiet shadows I once called my sanctuary, for the whispers of the dead who had once felt familiar, almost kind. They had warned me, and I hadn't listened. Now, there is no grave to mark my end, no soul to mourn me, only data, numbers, a failed experiment filed away in some incomprehensible archive. The old Willow Creek Cemetery still stands, but if you walk there at midnight, you might hear a whisper, a flicker of light, a breath not quite your own, and you'll know I was real. And now, they're watching you too.